An opera website guide at musicmoz and curlie. Chapter 1. Opera websites at musicmoz.org/styles/classical/occidental/forms/dramatic/opera. Opera websites. AndreaBaggio.com, Andrea Baggio, sampled and synthetic sound programming for opera. Angelfire.com/New York 2/Clocker, Clocker's Place, real audio opera selections up to 10 minutes in length. Includes links to other opera interest sites. Angelfire.com/music3/Juana La Loca, Juana, La Loca, an opera in 2 acts by Argentine composer Eduardo Alonso Crespo. General description, synopsis, original cast, and technical information. Angelfire.com/in/wolfmania/index.html, Wolfmania, personal page about musical theatre and opera created by a singer for singers and people who appreciate the art. Cantolopera.com, Cantolopera, opera karaoke, Italian opera site whose project enables listeners to sing over opera arias instrumental versions, the opera karaoke tracks, using various multimedia supports. Chauvingrandopera.theopera.com, Chauvin, site features description of many details of this opera, story, theme, orchestral and vocal requirements. Concertator.com, at Concertator, Joseph Reschigno's classical music, audio files, discussion. CultureKiosk.com/opera, operanes, opera news, features, opera reviews, interviews of leading opera stars and directors, opera CD reviews, the 101 Best Opera CD Guide for building the ideal CD collection, extensive opera calendar and reviews by international critics and journalists. Gopera.com, Gopera.com, all about opera, with links to opera houses, Lieder, and other general opera sites. Metmaniac.com, Metmaniac, Metropolitan Opera Broadcasts database including a complete radio/television program list, message board, features, and schedules for future seasons. musicomh.com/opera/index.htm, opera reviews at musicomh.com, opera reviews from the Royal Opera House, the Colosseum, and Glyndebourne. opera.it/english/operaweb.html, opera web, all about the opera world, from Italy, arias, singers, news, and schedules. In English and Italian. Operadio.com, Operadio.com, 7 live radio channels on the Internet of the best opera and classical music. OperaJaponica.org, Opera Japonica, comprehensive coverage of opera in Japan, includes monthly schedules, reviews, interviews, international reports, and multimedia files. OperaMom.com, OperaMom web community, support group for professional singers, opera or otherwise, with children, message board, chat, articles, links. Operastars.com, opera singers on the net, about opera for singers and fans. News, broadcasts, artist profiles, articles, singer listing, apartment center, forum, e-cards, and extensive links. OperaUSA.org, Opera USA, opera and musical theatre, live webcasting, performance dates, production schedules, singers listings, festivals, membership and more. chalosessi.free.fr/masterpieces, opera voices, biographies, and comments about legendary opera singers. Operetta.org, Operetta.org, a page for lovers of operetta and its history. Operissimo.com, Operissimo, provides a database of performers, composers, compositions, and opera houses. SACCOANDVANZETTI-THEOPERA.org, Sacco and Vanzetti, opera by Anton Coppola. soyouwanna.com/site/syws/opera/opera.html, So you wanna learn about opera. This full-length article explains opera to the novice, with explanations of its history, performers, and classic works. Terminatrix.co.uk, Terminatrix, a science fiction opera, an adult-oriented fairy tale. Background and credits. Virtopera.de, Virtopera, a virtual opera composed by Eberhard Schoner. Be the audience or influence its development. Opera organizations at musicmoz.org/styles/classical/occidental/forms/dramatic/opera/organizations/links. cnipal.asso.fr, French National Opera Center. The French National Opera Center propose a 10 months course for soloists singers with a grant of 6,000 FF per month. Lorgnon.com, Lorgnon, travel for the opera, specializing in individual trips to opera cities such as Munich, Berlin, Dresden, Milano, Wien, and Salzburg. Angelfire.com/ne/opera, New Rochelle Opera Guild, supporting New Rochelle Opera in all its endeavors in Westchester. newop.org, NewOP and C Opera, International Meeting, listserv and web ring of contemporary opera and music theatre professionals. OperaAm.org, Opera America, supports opera and the musical arts with education and awareness programs. Boris.org, the Goldovsky Foundation, promotes believable opera, sung in clearly understood English, and in convincing musical and dramatic style. Youngstownoperaguild.org, Youngstown Opera Guild, group in Youngstown, Ohio supports local opera productions. Opera publications at musicmounts.org/styles/classical/occidental/forms/dramatic/opera/publications. AmadeusPress.com, Amadeus Press, specialty publisher of books on opera, classical music, music history and biography, instruments, and performance. Asopera.com, El Avant Scaneopa, copyright RA, features libretto, with analysis, of one or two operas in each issue, sales of subscriptions and back issues. Opera.co.uk, Opera Magazine, news, articles, and reviews from the world of opera. OperaNews.com, Opera News, American magazine, subscription information, contents of recent issues. Some content for subscribers only. TheOperaCritic.com, The Opera Critic, includes news, reviews and articles. Opera houses and companies at musicmounts.org/styles/classical/occidental/forms/dramatic/opera/companies/north_america/links. AmericanoPeraGroup.com, American Opera Group, producing quality, diverse and inclusive opera in the original language. AZOpera.com, Arizona Opera, Phoenix, AZ. AshevilleLyric.org, Asheville Lyric Opera, professional theater and educational entertainment company in Asheville, North Carolina. AtlantaOpera.org, Atlanta Opera, Atlanta, GA. AustinLyricOpera.org, Austin Lyric Opera, TX. BaltimoreOpera.com, Baltimore Opera Company, MD, history, calendar, ticket ordering, links. BerkeleyOpera.com, Berkeley Opera, Berkeley, CA. BAM.org, Brooklyn Academy of Music, Brooklyn, New York. CalgaryOpera.com, Calgary Opera, providing information on upcoming performances, offering opera feedback, purchase tickets online. COC.ca, Canadian Opera Company, Toronto, Ontario. CasaItaliana.org, Casa Italiana Opera Company, Los Angeles, CA, presents several operas each year, specializing in Italian operas. icflorida.com/community/groups/lyric, Central Florida Lyric Opera, FL, schedule. CHAUTAUQUA-INST.org, Chautauqua Opera Company, New York, USA, must navigate via menu to opera. ChicagoOperaTheater.org, Chicago Opera Theater, official website, with online tickets purchase, years season, company information. CincyOpera.com, Cincinnati Opera, O. KC-CIVICOPERA.org, Civic Opera Theater of Kansas City, MO, schedule, auditions, and history. ClevelandOpera.org, Cleveland Opera, O. Concertopera.com, Concert Opera, Philadelphia, PA, opera performed in a concert setting. ctgrandopera.org, Connecticut Grand Opera and Orchestra, season schedule, synopses, and ticket information. connecticutopera.org, Connecticut Opera, Hartford, CT, founded in 1942. Schedule and performer profiles. decornito.org, De Cornito Opera, homepage of this concert opera company. Contacts through email only. dallasopera.org, Dallas Opera, TXUSA. bayinsider.com/community/groups/GG Opera, Golden Gate Opera, San Francisco Bay Area, schedule, audition and internship information, and past performances. hgo.com, Houston Grand Opera, TX. hotopera.com, Hudson Opera Theater, Rutherford, New Jersey. juno.com/opera, Juno Lyric Opera, AK, USA, opera and musical theater, since 1975. light-opera-works.org, Light Opera Works, Chicago, MIUSA. lawopera.org, Los Angeles Opera, Los Angeles, CA. lowellopera.org, Lowell Opera Company, Inc., Lowell, MA, schedule. kc-opera.org, Lyric Opera of Kansas City. lyricopraza.com, Lyric Opera of San Antonio, TX, schedule, history, and apprentice program. metopera.org, Metropolitan Opera, official site, New York City, New York, USA. motopera.org, Michigan Opera Theater/Detroit Opera House, Detroit, MI. mobileopera.org, Mobile Opera, AL. marionettes.com, New England Marionette Opera, Peterborough, NH, 90 minutes from Boston, America's only opera theater performed entirely with string-operated marionettes. Classical Puppet Theater. NewOrleansOpera.org, New Orleans Opera Association, LA. angelfire.com/ny/NR Opera, New Rochelle Opera, New York, calendar, contact information. NewYorkShop.org, New York Chamber Opera, a new opera company in New York City, specializing in works outside of the standard repertory. This site includes production photos, company history, contact information. NewYorkCopera.com, New York City Opera, New York, New York. NewYorkGasp.org, New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players, Professional, Repertory Gilbert and Sullivan Ensemble. Calendar, group, and ticket information, phone/fax orders. OperaCamerata.org, Opera Camerata of Washington, Washington, D.C., specializing in revivals of rare operas and operettas. Schedule and photographs. OperaPhilly.com, Opera Company of Philadelphia, Production Department, information about scenery, including plans and photos. OperaDel.org, Opera Delaware, Wilmington. OperaEbony.org, Opera Ebony, website for an African American opera company founded in 1973. Since then, the company has provided a unique professional platform for American artists, administrators, and technical staff of all cultures and colors to refine their talent and perfect their craft. Site provides all the information about artists, tours, and projects. OperaIllinois.com, Opera Illinois, providing information on schedules, artists, and events of the largest opera company in central Illinois. mv.com/org/opera, Opera League of New Hampshire, OLNH, Manchester, NH. OperaMemphis.org, Opera Memphis, Memphis, TNUSA, current season with histories and audio samples, ticket ordering, merchandise, quizzes, and games. OperaMississauga.com, Opera Mississauga, season schedule, conductor's biography, and demographics. OperaPacific.org, Opera Pacific, Costa Mesa, CA. OrlandoOpera.org, Orlando Opera Company, FL. pghopera.org, Pittsburgh Opera, O. pocketopera.org, Pocket Opera, San Francisco, CA. portlandopera.org, Portland Opera, schedule and ticket information. portopera.org, Portland Opera Repertory Theatre, PORT was founded as a non-profit arts organization in Portland, Maine in 1994. The company annually stages a full production of a major opera, and other events. sdopera.com, San Diego Opera, CA, USA, current season, recital program, membership and sponsorship opportunities, education program, company history, the Scenic Studio. sfopera.com, San Francisco Opera, CA, USA. santafopera.org, Santa Fe Opera, NM, USA. sarasotaopera.org, Sarasota Opera, FL, USA, in the historic Edwards Theatre in downtown Sarasota, opera, symphony, classical ballet, film festivals, popular music concerts, comedy shows, clowns. seattleopera.org, Seattle Opera, WA, USA, calendar, online ticket sales. southlandopera.org, Southland Opera, community outreach company performing throughout Southern California. summeropera.org, Summer Opera Theatre Company, Washington, D.C., seeks, promotes and presents young artists ready for work with major opera and musical theatre companies, offers more established artists the opportunity to prepare and perform new roles before a critical audience, and brings fully mounted professional opera to the public at the lowest possible ticket prices. tacomaopera.com, Tacoma Opera, WA, USA. amato.org, the Amato Opera of New York City, NYC, schedule, reviews, photographs, and past seasons. dc-opera.org, the Washington Opera, Washington, D.C. toledo-opera.com, Toledo Opera, O, USA, season schedule, tour, ticket ordering, and links. tricitiesopera.com, Tri-Cities Opera homepage, Binghamton, Southern Tier of, New York, USA. tulsaopera.com, Tulsa Opera, OK, USA, schedule, artist profiles, tickets, and links. vanopera.bc.ca, Vancouver Opera, Vancouver, BC, Canada, season program and opera FAQ. vlog.org, Village Light Opera Group, New York City, New York. vaopera.org, Virginia Opera, Richmond, VA, schedule and tickets. wbopera.org, West Bay Opera, Palo Alto, CA. Opera directories at musicmounts.org/styles/classical/occidental/forms/dramatic/opera/directories. 4opera.com, 4opera, a directory opera guide. culturevulture.net/opera/operaindex.htm, culturevulture.net, opera reviews, graphics, schedules, links. grovemusic.com, Grove Opera Dictionary, thousands of articles and opera-related links. opera-opera.com.au/index.html, opera, articles on opera and plot summaries of major operas. Chapter 2. Opera websites at curlie. Opera categories at curlie.org/en/arts/music/styles/show/opera. Subcategories: houses and companies, individual operas, Chinese opera, zarzuela, libretti, publications, schedules and events. Opera websites at curlie.org/en/arts/music/styles/show/opera. opera.stanford.edu. aria-database.com, the ARIA database. patriciagray.net/opera htmls/works.html, operas and composers, a pronunciation guide. operissimo.com, Operissimo. Opera composers at cully.org/en/arts/music/styles/o/opera/composers. opera.stanford.edu/composers, opera glass, opera composers. Alphabetical listing with works and links to better-known composers with details of certain compositions. usopera.com, U.S. Opera. Information about American opera composers and their works. Opera organizations at cully.org/en/arts/music/styles/o/opera/organizations. asop-inc.org, American Singers Opera Project. magdalanottingham.com, Magdala. A community-based musical organization offering operatic training and concert work, based in Nottingham, England. NewYorkOperaForum.com, New York Opera Forum. Gives classically trained singers the opportunity to learn and perform standard operatic repertoire in the original languages. OperaAmerica.org, Opera America, the service organization for opera. National service organization based in New York, supports opera and the musical arts internationally with education and awareness programs. OperaUSA.org, Opera USA. A non-profit corporation whose mission is to promote, instruct, create, and develop opera and musical theater for Americans. RichardTucker.org, Richard Tucker Music Foundation. Non-profit organization honoring the memory of the tenor at Lincoln Center's Avery Fisher Hall, granting awards to singers at 3 levels of development, and producing educational events nationwide. Trubador.pl, Troubadour. A club for Polish opera fans. WagnerSociety.org, Wagner Society of England. Includes membership information, history, events, links to other societies worldwide. Opera video at cully.org/en/arts/music/styles/o/opera/recordings. DivaLegacy.com, The Legacy of the Diva. Opera's recorded legacy. Articles and surveys of aria recordings, especially from the coloratura repertoire. OperaNights.com, Opera Nights. Guide to the best recordings available.